Well, hello. This is Tactical Bunny coming to you from a beautiful park right below the bluffs of Dana Point Harbor. And I've kind of set up a reviewing, what do we call this? A reviewing poncho, my Tijuana poncho. And I want to review this guy right here. Don't cut yourself. The Benchmade Crooked River. It's I'm a gear geek. Let me introduce myself really quick. Tactical Bunny, CA, which is tongue in cheek, of course, because I am neither a bunny nor tactical. So I'm just a guy who likes gear and equipment, and I carry all sorts of gear, as you might see in the background. One of those things being a pocket knife, and I have carried this knife quite a bit of late, and I have some financial situations, not too critical or anything like that, that kind of says that I should get rid of this and put it towards other things I am more desirous of, like a desert buggy to go adventuring with. So I'm letting this knife go, and I want to give it a proper review before I do that, because it really deserves it. And hopefully I'll have another one back in my collection at some point in the not too distant future. So I've got this Buck 110 on right below it, because I think everybody who grew up with this knife, when they saw the Crooked River, instantly thought of their Buck 110 and thought, wow, that's a modern knife that kind of has that aesthetic. I mean, really, we're talking about this right here, this bolster to wood handle aesthetic that came from my Buck 110, along with the same clip point, a similar kind of clip point shape of the knife. Excuse me. But so when I was maybe up until, let's say, 15 years old, this was the knife platform that you had if you needed a knife that could cut some heavy rope. I grew up on a stable stable property. We boarded horses in Arizona, and this was a knife that I might have for serious tasks, for cutting rope, for just stable work. And there wasn't better options. And later on, I started getting interested in other blades that I've come now to find out are just kind of clones of Sabenzas of the time. But when that Sabenza really started to influence the knife world, I found out about it in the mid-90s, and up until that point, this was a staple knife for me. So when I get to see this, something that has all the modern features that I want in a pocket knife, and it just harkens back to my youth with this fun Buck 110 look. This part right here, boy, if I'm already carrying a knife and I want to have something of this size, it's hard not to want this knife. And I want to talk about some of the stats and stuff, but geez, I could just go on about how much it's fun for me. I've never had a Benchmade before this knife, so this is my first time with the access lock. It's just kind of fun that I have a snaggle tooth on here, so I have 3 different ways I can open and close this knife. I can use the access lock to open it and close it. I can use the thumb stud to open it, and I can also wave it open with the snaggle tooth in my pocket, and that's kind of a cool option. I definitely put the deep carry pocket clip on here because I didn't like as it's been called, the dick clip. I did see that phallic shape and I didn't like it, so yeah, but I love this kind of wood. There's some reddish tint in it, and the orange of the pivot ring and the spacer on the back. Even though it's more of a hunter thing, and I'm not that kind of hunter guy, it's a fun classic color. I think it kind of, it's not, obviously orange is not a copper color, but it's definitely a similar color spectrum, and I think that's meant to harken back to that color between that and the wood. So what else should I say? This is what I like to carry. The Microtech UTX 70 CA, California Legal Auto, with this Benchmade Crooked River. I carry this on the right side of my pocket. It's just more comfortable for me to have it left, the pocket clip on the left side. But this is a big honking knife. It's a big chunk of steel. Another knife that I'll carry is the Cold Steel Spartan, and it's just going to dwarf this entire area. But if you actually look at it, the the Crooked River is not a baby knife in comparison to the Cold Steel Spartan. And if you're going to have this in your pocket, it's probably smart if you have something small, that if you actually need to use it in a public area, that you're not going to have something that's going to intimidate people. Because although this is really pretty to a knife collector like me, I might be able to scare someone with this, and anybody who saw this come out would go, oh, that's kind of a cute little pocket knife. It's miniature, and anything miniature is cute, right? So yeah, that's like a cool little combination that I like to put together. I'm selling this knife, and I'm sad to let it go, but like I said, I have some more important things, and the knife in my collection that I most readily compare it to is this Boker Stingray. It's kind of maybe a slightly more Persian shape to the clip point, but they're both clip point blades with kind of a saber grind, and they're both aesthetically really beautiful. They both have open construction, and the reason I'm not selling the Boker, I'm holding on to it, and I'm getting rid of the Crooked River is because I know I can buy this again. And this is out of production, and I know it'll be more difficult for me to get this again. So I'm holding on to the Boker Stingray, and I am saying goodbye to the Crooked River. I'm so sad to see you go, my friend. And the UTX 70, you are also on the way out, and you guys have been awesome to carry. I've had this for about the Crooked River for about a year and a half, maybe a year, and then I've had the UTX 70 for about 6 months. And when I have these guys on my person, and it's like, okay, you have two American high quality knives with excellent steel that are just super capable and super impressive to anyone who sees it. There is just a cool factor there that's fun for if you're going to have gear, watches, sunglasses, whatever. I mean, there's an aesthetic value to this. There are knives that you can get that are cheaper, like my Cold Steel Spartan there, that are as capable as this knife, but not necessarily as fun and cool. Boy, what else should I say? Beautiful knife. I know some people don't like the orange because they think it's just like honky, you know, whatever, just hunting sort of thing. But I don't. That's silly. This is really, it's dirty. I've carried this. Look at that. Okay, so that is something you should be aware of, is that this blade can get some rust spots on it, and that'll happen if you don't keep it oiled. So, you know, I haven't been exposing this to anything that should, other than oils on my fingers. So, you know, it's that S30V does have its limits. The edge holding, God, oh yeah. So this is some hard steel. It is some very, very hard steel. It'll hold an edge incredibly well. But here's the thing, Benchmade, dudes, you guys did such a horrible job when you sharpened this knife. Okay, so I reprofiled this edge. This is my edge. I did it on a KME consistent angle sharpener, and I did a pretty good job. I didn't do a great job because I'm not great even with that KME sharpener, but I did a good job, and this dude's sharp. Like, you know, is that damp? It's sharp. This paper is damp right now. Yeah. So this is a sharp knife, but dudes, like the angle of this edge dipped so far that when I hit it with my KME, I had to grind this thing for like an hour and a half to like 3 hours before I was just sitting there watching a movie, and I realized that the whole movie had gone by and I hadn't even found the actual point where I had a consistent angle edge all the way across. So someone was sharpening this thing, and they were going this way, and they were going that way, and they were taking a nap, and they went, bleh, and they dipped the edge, and that made it really difficult for me to sharpen. I probably should have sent it in, especially since there is a little bit of play, and I think they'd probably put a little thicker washers in there, but I don't like to wait to have my knives. And as far as it goes, my knife is sharp now. It's way sharper than it came, and you know, that tiny bit of play doesn't bug me. So yeah, you know, the next guy who gets it, if he has a problem with it, he most definitely can send it in under warranty. Benchmade will have no problem in tuning it up, and they'll send it back to him. He should tell them not to dick with the edge, though, because this edge is better than some sort of edge that they're going to give you at Benchmade. But you know, they'll just get perfectly spaced washers so that it'll just come in and out with a good consistency like it has right now. It's a heavy blade, so I kind of prefer it to be a little tighter. Otherwise, when I do the access close, it can bounce back out like that, and so that can be a pain. So I keep it a little tighter so that when I close it, it doesn't slam back in. But that's just kind of how I've found that the tuning works best on this. So yeah, but so not too good. Two things that weren't great about this knife: it had a dicked up edge, and the washers should have been thicker and maybe a little bit better tooled. Other than that, though, really well constructed knife, fair weight for its size, a big old honker. It holds up next to a cold steel Spartan. It's a big knife, and that is a great thing. I'm Tactical Bunny. I am a fluffy fuzzball of love and joy, and I hope maybe that I helped you decide whether or not to get this guy, cold steel. Shit. Oh, excuse me. Benchmade Crooked River. You should get one. It's a great knife. The handle, really quickly, I did ship that, and it hasn't been an issue. I think that was just because it's where the lanyard is. All right, bye. Have a great day.